how are you going to start this? I want to be on the right person when you're going to ask the first question.
I'm going to start
On Mrs. Okay. All right. So I'm going to start with a shot of her, and then as you discuss, I'll move around.
right, and then just when you're answering, just look at me.
Just look at you. Okay.
I'll catch you. Okay.
I'm rolling.
You ready?
Yep.
Okay, we're on. Okay, so I'm going to start with Mrs. Brubaker, and like we talked about earlier, what inspired you, or what inspired the both of you? But I'm asking you the question. To be
Okay.
foster parents in the first place.
Well, we have been foster parents since 1976, and it actually started as a ministry to help others. It started with an inspiration from Arnie's parents, and they had sold some property, and so we built this big 3-story duplex that we all worked at to get it finished. And we originally started there we started with girls with CSD in 1976, and then we continued that until our kids were small at the time, and we worked for a number of years with girls, and then we did take a break when our kids got a little older, and then began working with boys. And then in the early 90s, when OYA came into existence and separated out from CSD, then we had to make a choice. Were we going to stay with CSD or go with OYA? And we chose to go with OYA, and the boys that had gotten into some trouble and needed some help.
What's the just talk a little bit, if you would, about some of the challenges you face as a foster parent? What are the things that you need the most to do this, to be a foster parent, to be a foster parent?
Well, patience, for sure. The kids come in, and I kind of see them as maybe a puzzle that's kind of apart, and kind of you begin to put the pieces back and see where they fit, and see what each of them needs individually, and recognize them as individuals and having individual needs. I mean, there are certain things over the years that you know that can be kind of predictable. The kids go through a lot of separation from their own families. And sometimes they're not even living with their own, they're living with a grandparent, or their mother is not in their lives, or their father is not in their lives. And you know, that's a challenge for them to overcome. And just helping them meet their own challenges and face them, and face whatever individual hurdles that they have. And just kind of walking with them. And the thing that really keeps me going, though, is when they start to kind of get it. Because we do work with, they have a therapist, and she and I work together very well. And I understand what my role is with them, and my role with them is to help them learn some coping skills and build some skills just to live, just life skills. But she does the therapy.
Can you say that again? Because that was a really good answer. Can you just say what before you got to life skills? You're helping them build
Coping skills. And just life skills to just learn how to live. And she does the therapy with them. So when I recognize that it's a therapy issue, I just say, okay, this is what you will talk to your therapist about. And then I make her aware of kind of what's going on. And I mean, I really like the way that we do work together. And the way that I work with OYA as well, because we do a lot by email. And if something has occurred that needs their attention, then I will send out an email. It will go to the therapist, it will go to the PO, and it will go to the certifier. And then everybody sends me feedback, and then we can make a decision that everybody is a part of it. It really cuts down on any kind of triangulation. So, but back to the question of, you know, what do you need? Patience, learning how to separate and not take personally their issues. Yeah, because a lot of times they get mad at me. You know, if they have a mother that's abandoned them, They get mad at me for a number of reasons, and you just have to learn that that's not personal, and take yourself out of the equation. And not that I tolerate disrespect or anything, and I think these two will tell you that, but I can separate their anger and not take it internally. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to keep going.
Do you ever have any foster children who, after they've moved on, they're no longer your foster children, will stay in touch with you?
Oh, absolutely.
Really? Can you tell me about some of that, or maybe just one experience you had?
Oh, well, 2 weeks ago we went to the wedding of someone I got in her daughter. Her daughter got married. She first came in 1980. And we've kept in touch with her all these years, and her children. And I helped her daughter with her wedding, did a few little things for the wedding. Yesterday, I had someone was here for dinner, and someone else, another boy that had been here a couple years, was supposed to come, but he had some car trouble. And no, I get phone calls a lot, and a lot of contact with kids that have left.
What rewards do you get from being a foster parent?
Just in seeing them change and seeing them be successful, and especially after they leave. That's the true reward. When you know that you have touched a life, and that you know that they are internalizing some of the things that you've taught them, and going on and being successful. That's the biggest reward to me. Arnie will have to answer for himself.
Mr. Brubaker, what's the biggest reward for you as a foster parent?
Just seeing the kids be happy with and content with where they're at. That's the biggest thing, I guess. Seeing them come back and saying they appreciate what we've done for them. That's really helpful.
Do you think that this is a calling?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And what would you say to someone who is considering being a foster parent, but they were undecided, but they wanted to do it? What would you tell them?
I would tell them that they have to love the kids. That their interest has to be in the kids. It cannot be for yourself, and not for something that you are looking to gain out of it. Because the kids come in.
Don't touch your microphone. Sorry, I hate to
Uh-oh.
start that off. Yeah, you're doing this, and
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's just go ahead.
Back
and
up.
Let me
Okay.
ask the question.
Yeah.
again.
Okay.
Exactly.
What would you tell someone who is thinking about becoming a foster parent?
I would tell them that there are definitely rewards in it, but they come later. And that you have to be invested in the kids. The kids know if you genuinely like them or not. And if you're in it for any reason other than them, they pick up on that. And because there are challenges, and there are times that you may want to quit and say, really, I didn't bargain for this.
I'm gonna ask then. So let's try recreating that in some fashion.
So, why don't we just start at the beginning of that question, which is
What did I say?
what would it doesn't you don't have to recreate it, but just speak spontaneously. What would you say to someone who is considering becoming a foster parent? What do they need? What do they need to know going into it?
Okay. What I would say to a foster parent, and what I have said, is that there are definitely rewards, but they usually come later. And that you have to have a genuine interest in the kids, because they know if you're doing it for some other reason other than your genuine interest in helping them, they pick up on that, and they just won't be as responsive to you. So they need a lot of patience, and they need a genuine interest in the kids. And Arnie said something that also delights me too. because when the kids come in, they do have a lot of hurdles that they have to get across. But like yesterday, we had a bunch of kids here, and they were playing tag football, and they were just being kids, very age appropriate, regardless of all the stuff that was going on in their lives, and will go on in the future. For that moment in time, they were playing, and they were having a good time, and just seeing them taking those moments when they are just being themselves and having fun. It's very rewarding to just watch those moments.
Let me ask the boys some questions about their experiences here, and we'll start with you. I'm sorry, your first name again?
Andre.
Andre.
Yeah.
So, Andre, how long have you been here?
I've been here about 2 weeks, maybe 3.
2 weeks. And where did you come from?
Oak Creek.
Okay. So you've been here 2 weeks. How long have you been in this? So, let's see.
Away at the beginning of the month.
How long have you been with OYA?
Beginning of the month.
Okay. And what has been your experience here so far? How would you describe it?
It's been pretty good. I mean, they help me with everything that I need help with, and they really help me understand, like, they want me to learn from this and everything, and are helping me understand, like, and trying to help me understand what I did and why it was wrong and everything, and that's really what, yeah, that's what I like, I guess.
Is the audio okay, John?
Just project well. I mean, just 'cause
Okay.
the microphone that I'm picking you up on is next to you, so maybe lean the other way.
So then I'm going to ask you that question again. That was a great answer. So I'll ask you again just to make sure we've got the audio picked up, because it's
Pretty important.
it's pretty
Yeah.
important. So, what has been your experience here so far? How have you enjoyed it? Do you feel comfortable? Do you feel like you're getting something out of this?
I feel comfortable and I enjoy it because, I mean, you're allowed to do stuff besides be locked up and everything, and they also help you a lot with the treatment and everything, and they help you understand why what you did was wrong. And I really like how much help that you get, and if you did something wrong, they'll help you, they'll go through it and help you understand, like, what you actually needed to do if you don't understand something. And so I really like it.
So, Devin, we're going to go to you now, and I'll ask you the same question. How long have you been here?
I've been at this foster home for about since March.
Where were you before then?
A residential treatment.
Okay. Is this your first experience with a foster home?
Yes.
Okay. And how would you describe your experiences so far?
I kind of look at it as a second chance with a family, because, I mean, it's not all the time that you go from residential to a foster care, and it kind of tells me something that it's another chance to live life as a normal kid, and it makes me feel good, and it makes me feel good to know that the foster parents I have are looking out for me and making sure I'm doing what I need to do and making sure they're there to help me with what I need.
So can I ask you about your own family background?
Sure.
What was that like?
I come from a drug-related family. Most of my family, if not all, has done drugs, and right now my mom has relapsed. And I don't know where she's at. I don't know what's going on with her. But I'm just trying to stay in my own, try to make my own life now. Try not to rely on my family like I used to.
What's your hometown?
I've
Or what do you consider to be your hometown?
Willamina or Sheridan.
So Andre, I'm going to ask you the same question if you don't mind answering. So what were your family circumstances like?
Well, my mom was always really away. I never really got to see her that much. My dad's been in and out of jail, so I didn't really get to see him that much either. So I live with my grandma. And I mean, I always looked at her as my mom, because I've lived with her all my life, and she takes care of me just like my mom would. And my dad, he's clean now. He's been clean for 3 years, and he's trying to get back into our lives. And I really like it because he's doing stuff with us. Like yesterday, he came and played football with us, and when he was visiting, and that was fun. And my family life isn't really that bad. I mean, I just don't get to see my mom that much. I have 2 sisters I can't see because one of the moms won't let me see them, and then my mom never visits really. So, yeah.
So I'm going to go back to the Brubakers. And Mrs. Brubaker, earlier we had talked about some of the traumatic experiences the young people have when they get here. And if you can just elaborate on that a little bit and how you manage to deal with that. Because these are young people who've had some serious issues and traumas in their life. And how do you deal with that as a foster parent?
Well, again, they bring the trauma with them. And there are many times that it carries over to me personally. And the thing that I've learned over the years is that the anger is really not towards me, even though it appears to be. And to separate that out in my head and put it somewhere else. And then I just deal with the behavior that comes out of that anger. And again, working with the therapist, because whenever there's a behavior that is coming out of the trauma, then that's therapy. That goes back to her. And actually, I go into the therapy sessions with the boys for a couple of reasons. So, because she will often tell me, okay, when you get home, then do this with them. And if something comes up again, then I can say, remember, we talked about that in therapy, and this is what she said to do. I don't know, Devin, do you mind if I give an example of what we did the other day? So Devin came to me on Saturday and he said, Donna, I'm just really feeling really bad about myself right now. And before, the last couple of weeks when he was feeling that, he got angry and he got mad at me. And so we sat down and processed it because I knew what the therapist had told him to do. So I had him write out a list of things that are good about himself that he can tell himself, because he was giving himself lots of negative self-talk. And then he would follow up and dwell on it and then get angry and, take it out on people around him. So he sat down, and I think you came up with 20 things. And I said, so these are the things you need to tell yourself. And it worked. I mean, you can ask him about it, but the rest of the day, he was in a much better mood. And the boys have to do a journal every night. And I just sent his, and I read in his journal that, that's what he journaled about. He said that he had been having some really negative thoughts about himself. And that sense of worthlessness is a huge factor in a lot of their acting out. And it comes from a lot of the trauma that they themselves have gone through.
When you were raising your own children, do you feel that being a foster parent made you better parents to your own children? Or am I making an assumption?
There were times our being a foster parent was really hard on them. And we have 3 really good kids. And I have watched, this is the best way to answer that. I have watched my daughter be a parent. And I have been amazed at what kind of parent she is. So I know that somehow we were able to get through some parenting concepts that I've seen her practice on her own children. And I've been really pleased with what I have seen in that. So I don't know that it made us better parents. I mean, I have, probably now it would, because I've learned a lot. But I mean, any parent, regardless of whether you do foster care or not, you're like, you can parent your grandchildren much better than you could your own because you've learned so much.
Is there anything else I should ask that I haven't asked? Is there anything else that you want to say about your experiences from anyone?
Well, a lot of times when the boys come in, they come with habits that just don't work in this family situation, and we have to try and change those habits, and that's difficult for them, I know.
So, can you give me an example?
Oh, I can't think of any right offhand.
Well, a lot of them actually they were raising themselves pretty much. And so to learn how to fit into a family structure, this is when we get up, this is when we eat, this is when we go to bed, this is what we eat. You know, they just, when a child is left to raise themselves, they don't have the wisdom to do that. So
introducing stability and structure
Right.
into their lives is a big part of what you do.
Yeah, and so they aren't in conflict with the other kids' rights.
right.
A lot of times their habits are in conflict with others' rights.
They cross boundaries. The boundary setting was just never taught them. So teaching them boundaries is, you know, really very important for the rest of their life.
So setting boundaries and establishing boundaries. And can you just give an example of how you would do that in a common situation?
Well, let's just take when the boys conflict with each other and just setting them down and letting each of them tell their side of it and then have them work together to resolve it. Teaches them boundaries, and it just teaches them how to get along with others, because a good number of them come in not really knowing how to do that, not really knowing how to get along with someone.
So talking them through it.
Talking them through it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we've had a lot of training in that, in different areas, you know, teaching them how to resolve conflicts with each other. But leading them to kind of resolve it themselves, bring their own ideas to it, and just teaching them how to kind of, I mean, you want them to learn boundaries. So you start out kind of setting the boundaries for them, and then you want them to take that piece over and really begin to, and I've had kids come in, we've taught them something, and then I'll see them in turn teach a new kid coming in. And actually that's rewarding too.
One example might be they all use the same bathroom, so they got to learn to limit the time that they're in the shower.
Right.
For the sake of the next one's rights, so somebody don't end up with a cold shower. So they can't stay in there 30 minutes.
Right.
Try to limit them to 10 minutes.
Or even keeping their side of the room clean.
Yeah. And just picking up after themselves.
Or maybe they have some ideas. I don't know.
Anything else that you want to say? Okay. I think we're
Good.
done. Just hold it. Just keep looking at me. Just going to get a lingering shot here. And then after this, we're just going to we call it B-roll, but it's like visual. It's for background tape where you're interacting with each other. You can be looking at the orchard. You can be going inside. We're just going to follow you around with the camera, just interacting with each other like you would in a normal situation, so we can splice that tape in as you're talking or as I'm doing the voiceover.
Oh.
And if they walk over to the garden.
How about dusting?
No.
I'll get the vacuum out.
So John is going to unmic you.
Don't move till I unmic
Don't
you.
move.